From the News Channel 5 Network, this is Inside Politics.
Hello, everyone. I'm News Channel 5's political analyst, Pat Nolan. Welcome to Inside Politics. Tennessee Speaker of the House and Nashville Republican State Representative Beth Harwell is our guest on Inside Politics this week. Madam Speaker, thanks as always for coming back on the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Now, the 109th General Assembly is now history. You adjourned sine die about 2-3 weeks ago. As you look back on this most recent session between January and roughly April, what do you see as the major accomplishments that the lawmakers accomplished?
You know, something that Tennesseans should never take for granted. We balance our budget every year. That's the largest thing we do. That is the only thing constitutionally we were required to do. We did it this year, fully funding the basic needs of government, restoring money to our rainy day fund. We did not incur any new debt. We're the lowest debt state in the nation. And finally, we, one more time, reduced taxes for Tennesseans. I think that's a great accomplishment.
Now, you had a little problem the last week. You had to pass the budget, then suddenly some lawmakers wanted you to stay up there a couple of days because they wanted to change some things about the Hall income tax, about money being given for veterans, I believe, who are disabled to help them with their taxes. So what happened? You're always herding cats up there, but it sounds like the cats kind of took over for a day or two.
Not really. It was all pretty well planned. We knew that the Hall income tax was one of the last pieces of legislation that we were looking at. We had already budgeted for a 1% decrease, so that was already in the budget. What legislators decided to do, and I agree with them, is begin the phase out over a 6-year period of the Hall income tax, which is the same way we phased out the inheritance tax here in Tennessee. So fiscally, it was a very responsible way of ending the Hall income tax.
Now, there's always a number of controversial measures every session. The one that got a veto this time from the governor was one that had made the Holy Bible Tennessee's official book. He vetoed the measure because he thought it was not only unconstitutional, but demeaning in some ways to Holy Scripture. The House sustained that veto.
Right.
Did the House make the right move?
Absolutely. I did not support the bill initially, but I agreed with the governor. Number one, I just think it almost, as the governor said, demeans the Holy Scripture. And so I favor what the governor did. I supported it, and I'm glad that the House was able to sustain his veto. Another
bill that the legislature passed and the governor signed as well would allow professional counselors to decline care to people whose lifestyles they think offend their own deeply held personal beliefs. This law has created quite a backlash across the country. The National Counselors Association itself has now canceled a convention that was going to be held here. Another convention has been canceled. These involved millions of dollars that would have been coming to Nashville. The mayor of Philadelphia has canceled a non-emergency trip by any of his employees here because they feel like the bill is discriminatory against the gay community. That's a pretty big financial price to pay for making a statement in the culture wars.
It is. I feel sorry for those associations because they're going to really miss out on visiting what I think the best cities in the nation is, Nashville, Tennessee. And Tennessee and Nashville is a warm, welcoming place. And we will encourage visitors. Our tourism industry is actually up this year. We put more money into recruiting tourism in the state of Tennessee. So overall, I think this is going to balance out. I think the governor really felt like it was the appropriate action since we allow other professions such as lawyers and doctors to determine if they're not the appropriate person to give care. In the same similar vein.
A somewhat related bill, at least related to the LGBT community, is the so-called bathroom bill. There have been several of them passed in some other southern states. Been a big controversy about the one in North Carolina. The measure was pulled here in Tennessee before it came to a final vote in the House. Now the federal government is warning school systems all across the country they are risking a violation of civil rights if they don't allow students to use the bathroom based on their preference rather than necessarily on their birth certificate. Were you ready to vote for or against the bathroom bill had it come to the floor in the House?
I think we did the appropriate thing by not bringing it to a vote. I think the sponsor realized that we faced potential litigation, which would be extremely costly to our state. And secondly, our policies here in our school systems already allow for what was promoted in the bill to take place. So we took the appropriate action, and we will wait and see what happens in other states.
It's a pretty good chance the bill's going to come back next year. Do you want to take a wait-and-see attitude even into next year? Do you have a personal position, yes or no, on the bill?
I think we need to wait and see what happens in other states.
I know there was also a lot of talk this time. One of the surprises during the session was the fact that Lieutenant Governor Ron Ramsey decided that he was going to retire. Did that catch you at all by surprise? Did you kind of know that was coming? You had some hints that maybe he had enough of commuting back and forth?
Right. The Lieutenant Governor had given me some hints over the last couple of years. He's served this state remarkably well, but I think his heart in his soul was back home with his grandchildren, and rightfully so.
You come back in January and there's a new Speaker of the Senate. How strange will that be? Because Ron Ramsey has been Lieutenant Governor at least as long as you've been.
Oh, as long as I've been Speaker, and he's, we've had lunch every week together. So, yeah, I will miss him tremendously. But I think we'll have another good Lieutenant Governor for our state. We have a tradition here in Tennessee of bringing forth good leadership. I think we'll do it again.
Now, that's rumored to be Randy McNally,
yes,
who is already the chairman of the House Finance Ways and Means Committee. What's your relationship with him? He
chairs the Senate Finance Ways and Means Committee, and absolutely I worked very well with Randy McNally. He is one of the most well-respected members of the Senate, knows that budget backwards and forwards, and I think he will be a great Lieutenant Governor if that's what the Senate chooses to do.
House Speaker Beth Harwell is our guest. Back to continue our conversation with him after these messages.